Welcome back to How to Union Data in SQL, Part 2, where we're going to do some coding. So let's write the query. We put our union in there. And if we run that, we now get a list combining the two tables into one data set. And we have 146 unique records there. Now, I say unique because the union operator finds duplicates and gets rid of them. And that's important to note, because if you find that the sum of the two tables doesn't add up, it's because it's doing a distinct on the data set, the result. So for example, if I were to do a union all instead, what the union all operator does is actually brings out every single record irrespective of whether we have duplications or not. So the result of that is 201 records. And we'll order that to see the actual duplications in there. If we were to do an order by, what column name would we use? Would we use first name, comma last name, or first underscore name, comma last underscore name? Well, let's have a go and see what happens. We did an order by there, and just use a first name, comma last name, because that's what's being shown us on the screen, and ran that, that gives us the result that we want. It's showing us the duplications. You see, for example, Ahmed and Zara exists in both tables, and therefore they're being shown up as two separate records there. If we were to do order by first name as it's spelt for the contact table, then we'd get an error, because the actual resulting data set that SQL is using here is using the column names from the first table. Now you can get around this by obviously renaming the column name. So you could say as first name and as last name, and basically having an alias for each of those columns which matches the way the first and last name are held in the contact table. And then it would work again. But remember, the order by is still only applied to the entire result set. It's not applied to any individual SQL statement in the union that you form. Hence, you can't put an order by in any of the individual SQL statements, only at the end, and it applies to the entire result set. Now we can go a step further. We could actually label next to each name exactly which table they're coming from, if we wanted to. For example, we could say, since this is coming from the policies table, and on this one, we say claim system. Now we haven't given an alias for that, so we'd say as source system. Okay. And we'll do the same for this. So when we run that, we now know that Adina Maggie Anderson, that record there comes from the claim system, and this one comes from the policy system. Now that's really only important if you actually want to know the source system from where that record is coming from. If we were to do this as a union instead of a union all, we would lose that distinct nature, because we would lose that distinct that we were getting before, because we've added the policy or the claim system at the end of the actual name, and that's now made it non-unique. So if we go all the way down here, we see we've still got the 201 records there, because the distinct is being applied across all of these three columns now. So note, why does this union work? Well, the columns are in the right order, the data types are compatible, and we have the same number of columns being drawn out from each respective system. And that allows the union operator to work. But bear in mind the difference between union and union all. Union will give you a distinct list, and union all will bring out every single record, irrespective of whether it's a duplicate.